How's it going? Welcome to the channel. We're gonna get right into this. We're Dragon reacting to he went from a nobody to the strongest gladiator. Let's get it. Gotta love our Manhwas.
Once upon a time there was a continent called Argadia. The legend tells that a queen who managed to find the treasure of her god had unified the continent, but one day said queen fell into a deep sleep and disappeared along with the treasure, thus causing the division of the world. Argadia continent, since then everyone has been after the search for that treasure, failing countless times to the point of surrender. However,
I'm kinda hungry, is it just me? You guys hungry? Oh, we'll get back to the video.
there is someone who did not exist to look for it. The kingdom that remained with its hopes of finding the treasure created a test annual called Air, which is celebrated annually, in which men and women embark on the search for it. We meet a blonde girl who is the princess of her kingdom, who is training with an old man who I suspect will be her teacher. The old man tells her that she should use a lighter weapon, but he already mentions that this sword is the symbol of the kingdom. While they are training, the girl confesses that she trains hard to defend herself once she has been taken as a wife to another kingdom. With a few moves and skills, the girl manages to defeat her teacher. However, she demands that she fight seriously, but the old man only answers that she has improved, but she knows she is lying. At that moment, another lady arrives, who mentions that time is up and that they must leave. The old man mentions that she will go to the royal council, and after an exchange of words, they both say goodbye and the princess leaves. The old man tells us a little more than the girl who was destined for an arranged marriage, and her brother will be a sacrifice of kings. We see the castle in
What is a sacrifice of kings? Just like murdered, or what do you mean a sacrifice? He's not gonna be. I don't know. But let me know. Comment down below what they mean by that, cause I don't know. And I'm a dragon. I should know about these things.
plain, and since there are several people dining there, among them the girl, those present tell her that they are happy that she is the princess, given the situation of not being able to find the queen, and that now that she has the queen's grandson is born, it is tradition that she blesses the gifts. However, she says that they are not gifts, that are sacrifices. A man present interrupts the situation and comments that church tradition dictates that a member of the royal family you must choose a subordinate to accompany you on the mission to find the treasure, and who on the way and must help those who cross the path, and who must fight against the monsters that cross them. The people present there are all brothers, sons of the queen. Obviously, the man claims that only one of them will be able to position himself as the king, and that will be the one who finds the treasure, and since one of them has to volunteer for the journey, to which a couple of older brothers insinuate that this is one of the younger brothers, and he offers himself for the journey. The girl gets annoyed and complains to her brothers for putting all the weight on her younger brother and not thanking him, to which the two brothers get upset and they begin to humiliate her, to which another older brother scolds them for not knowing how to contain their words, to which they also try to excuse themselves. The white-haired brother tells his sister that it would be more comfortable for her to be with the sisters, but she tells him that she is allowed to be there. Then the white-haired brother tells him that he should feel attached, because if he was a boy his father would have chosen him for the journey for the treasure. The brothers leave the council and the white-haired brother invites the princess to have tea, but she says that the white-haired brother has other business, and she talks about their hobby for combat and marriage practices, and this at the end in a way, he tells her that he will always be there to help her. Leaving like this, the princess and her younger brother see the combat arena and the outskirts of it to later see the gladiators fight against a monster. Encouraging all the spectators, once they manage to defeat them, we meet a king to whom they mention that the other practitioners will soon come up. The king gets bored and orders them to finish off the beast. Creating a barrier, we see a gladiator who crosses his path with the princess, and both seem to know each other, having an agreement in which she will release him if the last gladiator wins, bragging that he will make it easy by giving the combat step between the boy and the sorcerer, who has won many fighters, who will face the king of the gladiators, being booed by everyone, but he seems not to care. They tell us that his crime was being a spy. The princess mentions that the one who wins will be the one who gets him out. The king of the gladiators comes out, and the sorcerer notices that he does not have weapons, but does not care about it, creating a fire spell, initiating the confrontation, animating the place. The sorcerer is cornered, and in one of the gladiator attacks, breaks his staff, further complicating the situation. It has been noted by the Kratos-style gladiator king's chains. After an exchange of headbutts, the sorcerer breaks the king's mask. The sorcerer casts a spell and he covers himself with a wall of fire and throwing fireballs, but the king uses the crystal to jump over the wall of fire and accept a blow. Why? Although
Before we get too deep in this fight, who do you guys think is gonna win? The wizard sorcerer guy or the king of gladiators we got right here?
The sorcerer trying to avoid the attack would be useless, receiving the full blow generating a strong explosion. Defeating the sorcerer, then the king sends a sword to the gladiator king to kill the boy, but then a girl tries to persuade the king to take advantage of his abilities of magic, that has being in vain, giving the order to kill him, and in the words of the princess she decides that Vera, the king of gladiators, would be her companion. Everyone applauds Vera's victory, so the princess retires, but among the high-ranking spectators there is one who learns to have the desire to finish with this. Vera is withdrawn from the arena where his companions praise him for having avenged his comrades.
A bear did cocaine!
There's an area called Blood Mountain. The pilots know where to drop our load, and then we just...
They are returned to the prison where they are cheered for the inmates. A guy who calls himself the teacher congratulates them and gives them an incredible meal for their performance in the arena, but being at the table, Vera retires to a place to pray and talk to her fallen companions in the afterlife, begging that finally they can rest in that. Another inmate arrives who informs him to see that the princess has just arrived. The princess's assistant scolds the gladiator master for making her wait, and when Vera begins to bend down and humiliate herself to watch the princess puts a foot on Vera's head and they scold him for trusting himself. He apologizes for altering his plans, causing her to humiliate him in a certain way, but allows him to raise his head, causing him to praise his goodness, but the princess mentions that she does not have that. Then the princess scolds him because he could have tied the wizard with the chains. He did not do it until later, to what you will see. He mentions that he was amazed by the beauty of the princess. Then the princess leaves and tells him that she hopes they fulfill their plans for the next fight. When they leave, we see how Vera has a certain hatred towards her and her friends annoy him in a certain way. Then, in a comical way, Vera swears that one day she will take revenge for the humiliation that they make them go through. After that, they talk about how they couldn't understand the princess's plan, and that he was wrong to scold him for not having chained the sorcerer well. That's how the fight flowed, but his companions only bother him about it. One of them does mention of the princess as if she was standing there scaring Vera, who begs for his life, but had only been tricked by his partner, causing him to try to hit them. You will see mentioned that that day will come, then he will escape from the arena, but his partner seems somewhat worried. However, I made him trust. In the princess's carriage, the assistant asks what is fun, to which the princess replies that Vera will be dead. In a rage, the assistant asks why she didn't tell him that he would be her companion, and why not choose to other than a slave, to which she mentioned that she just wished it was him from the moment she saw him. Remembering how it was the first time he saw Vera fight, a child who through tears managed to defeat an opponent who managed to shock his heart. After that, she went to the place where gladiators trained to see him, and after a while he asks his brother that he let him talk to him more closely, and after a few words he accepts, but the princess sends him accompanied. He approaches to scold him, but he yells at him to shut up. The princess complains to him for not knowing who he is addressing. Then the guard who was with her hits Vera with his sword. However, the princess scolds him because she had ordered him not to interfere. He drew his sword, but the princess stopped him, despite seeing her yelling at him to kill him. Well, a better fate is that than continuing to be an object of amusement for the king, causing confusion in the princess, who cannot understand his desire, but his brother endorses his words and gives the order of the desire to see. Arriving at night, the execution of Vera is being carried out. The boy's teacher tries to persuade the white-haired brother. However, this new one backs away from his comrade, so his sister tries to convince him to forgive him because he did not know who he was directed, and after making use of his powers as a younger sister, the brother agrees to forgive Vera, but he continues to mock the actions of royalty. His teacher tells him to shut up and asks the brother for forgiveness. However, he does not let it go and asks that they cut off his head. The boy was happy to be reunited with his brother, perhaps being saved by the princess again, causing Vera to insist that they kill him, and insults the royalty, who asks that they cover his mouth, and he proceeds to tell his brother that if she kills the boy, she will be left with the trauma because on her conscience it will remain that she had a certain responsibility. The brother asks if she likes the slave, although she denies it. We know she was lying, so the brother proceeds to leave the boy alive only if he behaves as such and like a slave, and asks him to say a humiliating sentence. However, you will see only mocks the guy yelling at him to kill him and insults him. So he receives a cut in the back from one of the soldiers. The prince refuses to kill him out of love for his sister, so he proceeds to make a line of slaves and begins to torture Vera, making him see how he kills his companions. One of them, he begs to see that while crying urinates on himself, and not wanting to see how his comrades die, he prostrates himself and begins to humiliate himself. The prince gives him a glass of urban wine and asks him to spill it on the ground just to humiliate Vera by ordering him to the llama the spilled wine. The brother tells the girl that this is a method to subdue someone that I do not want to obey, awakening a very crazy side in her sister, who seemed to enjoy the suffering of this boy. We return to the present where the princess's younger brother was training with a guard, being stopped by the princess, who congratulates her brother and tells him that it is necessary for him to be strong.
So we got through that flashback, and the royal family's kind of fucked up, man. But they are slaves, so I guess I get it in this time period, and that's how you treat slaves. But you humans, man, y'all don't know how to treat each other. That's all I'm gonna say.
Because it will be soon on his journey, and he feels depressed for ceasing to be a prince, so his sister tries to comfort him. They both talk about their destiny, and even if they don't want it, that's how things are. However, the little brother asks for a miracle so they don't have to be separated, so they both make a promise that if the little brother finds the treasure, both brothers, they will meet again. At night, the ceremony to say goodbye to the younger brother arrived. All those gathered were excited, and they explained to us that the protocols that the boy has to follow before leaving and informed in a row in order of birth in the prison. Vera and his 3 companions have just gagging and tying the guards and their teacher escaping through a tunnel that Vera made, which reached the sewers. When they seem to have escaped, an arrow hits the chest of some companions. Sadly, Vera, it was the prince's soldiers. During the event, everyone was waiting for the revelation that the younger brother would be. He would like to go on the journey in search of the treasure, but the princess is the one who raises her hand, causing astonishment and fear to all present. Everyone is confused. His brothers try to yell at him, but they say that there is not much that can be done since he cannot be altered. Then the clergy announced that it would be Princess Elda who would go in search of the treasure, making everyone present feel embarrassed and murmur because a girl will go on the trip. Elda receives the sword and shield and demonstrates her skill with it, impressing everyone present, making them praise her. However, her brother tearfully asks her if she did it for him, to which she says no, completely leaving the place, while her brother yells at her. Her older brothers only insult her, and the angry white-haired brother leaves the place late at night. The upset king breaks a glass of wine on the wall because of the insolence of his daughter. 2 of the brothers were drinking and insulting their sister and bothered their younger brother. On the other hand, the white-haired brother orders to kill Vera, but when the servant is about to go as the order is fulfilled, a soldier arrives with great fanfare and tells the prince that Vera had escaped from prison. We go to a cell where the boys are imprisoned, Vera wondering what went wrong with the plan and the others complaining, although later they both laugh and accept that they were caught. However, the fate of Los Fugitivos is one they will be taken to fight to the death until that one is left standing, being Vera's biggest fear. That's when Elda the Rasta boy arrives, humiliates himself and begs for forgiveness and begs her to save him even though she can't do anything. He can do nothing. However, the boy with the dreadlocks, in the midst of tears, begs for mercy and whatever will remain. Something she tries to reassure them by saying that for now nothing will happen to them unless it reaches the king's ears, making the situation more complicated. She proposes something to avoid bloodshed, alleging that for her they are special. 4 stunned, who react and they prostrate themselves to wash her, to which she says that she has a condition, and that is that Vera accompanies her in search of air, leaving her companion stupefied. However, after learning that it could be a trip with no possibility of return and that she would be there all the time with the princess, Vera through tears refuses to impress her, and her classmates crying tells her classmates that before going with her she prefers that they kill each other in the arena. When Armando, her classmates bothering her, the boy with dreadlocks, hits Vera, and they all argue about it to be so foolish, but when they see him cry they try to calm him down. At the end of this show, the boy with the dreadlocks gave him an idea to see him. It consisted of leaving the princess abandoned, so you'll see, imagine what it's like to leave the princess tied up and abandoned with nothing to eat, alone in the forest, making her friends and the princess look at her with a strange face when they are marching. Moved by pressure, Vera accepts the condition, but he says that he has the condition that he frees his friends from the world of gladiators, because anyway one day they will end up killing each other. Although it annoys the princess, she accepts the condition, receiving their praise and thanks. When she leaves, the boys hug and kiss V, going for her freedom. We also see that the princess does feel something towards Vera. After this, in one night we arrive at a place to drink where we can see different groups of people, some already drinking, others beating each other to death, others planning explorations, etc. In that we see a group of adventurers who have a new objective, in that we see Elda training and he will see being chained to a new stake. He spoke that the adventurers mentioned that they will go and steal all their goods. Some of the adventurers do not feel attracted to it, in addition to considering the practice of air quite absurd. Then one of them tells us that thanks to the religion, every time one of the royals accepts air travel, another member is chosen to rule the continent for 20 years. The guide who looks like a buffalo asks how the guy with glasses knows that he had grown up in that country, and the elf asks how much they will earn, to which this brunette replies that it would be 400 million for the sword and shield. So the elf seems to be convinced, but the girl mentions that they are 400 million for each one, exciting the whole gang. The alpha asks about the client, to which the girl says that she only spoke to the client, but that he was reliable. She also mentions that since it was a trip, the royals will be loaded with jewelry and valuables. The guy with the glasses affirms the girl's data with emotion. The sorcerer says that they will be rich, but the girl mentions that it will not be easy because apparently they are not the only ones who have received the information from the sword and shield, so more that are equipped will be behind these, so it is very likely that the boys will fail in their journey. The girl adds another problem, and that is that the test does not have a single route and that the boys can take or any of these. One of them proposes to attack them at the beginning of their trip, but the girl does not recommend that because they would expect something like that, leaving the decision to one of the members of the teachers group. That she has the ability to find solutions to these problems by reassuring the members, but the girl mentions that it is her third problem is that they do not know the ability of the princess and that her customs are different from that of any common princess, but that her companion was known as the king of the gladiators and is quite strong. However, the lake underestimate
The king of the gladiators. This should be getting interesting very soon. We're gonna keep it up. We're halfway through basically. Yeah, so basically they're planning on robbing them, maybe even killing them, but robbing and taking all the stuff. For the shield is expensive, the money. Well, that's the lowdown. This is just a lot of information they're giving us, but that's the gist of it.
but the girl mentions that the companion was able to kill a fairly powerful sorcerer, which alarms everyone. The elf replies that no human can be a powerful magician, but the colored girl says that she has already seen him fight. The guy with the mustache asks about the life of the princess, to which the colored girl says that there are those who asked you not to touch him because the king will not value their heads, but that they do not have to have mercy with the slave because nobody will care about his death. Elda and Vera are face to face having a conversation about the practice that they have had, which I want to proceed to give way to the ritual to see. Asks about this, and the clear shows a paper where it seems his hand signing an agreement. I will see. Remember that one night previous Elda made him mark the sheet after freeing his friends, but seeing that illiterate did not know that he signed and was carried away by the word of Elda saying goodbye. After that, returning to the present, C affirms that he signed with consent, so the one who did, he proceeds to secure it with magic. Elda asks that the process be accelerated while the enemies will be surrounding them, but the clearing says that it is the procedure taking the step of the magical contract, confusing Vera. Once the contract is done, we discover that she has all the power to subdue Vera, see her writhe with pain, which of course I started to stop. The chlorine tells him that he has been bewitched with restrictive magic, and he gives acid, bewitched with disciplinary magic. While seeing she gasps in him, she steps on his head and tells him that she is eager to see how he will squirm for being tied to her for life. Elda looks at her from the top of a tower, all the kingdom that he will have to leave behind.
Wait, so he just signed a contract to have to obey her and shit, whatever? I mean, he was a slave anyway, but that's pushing the line, man. That's crazy. She a snake. She into that creepy stuff, man. That's crazy.
And at that moment his son arrives, brother, the one in the cape who had come to the church to pray for his sister, skipping the rule of not being able to see any of the relatives of the person who was chosen to go on the air journey. He asks her if she plans to survive the trip, but he replies that it is easier than being sold. They convince her about the decisions they have made, and that she should have chosen what her destiny had dictated. However, Elda says that this destiny would lead her to be an unpleasant mother and not end up like her mother, who was only an object of her father. The brother continues to insist that his decisions were for love, but she denies that is love. Getting tired of the conversation, Elda's brother he retires in the Colosseum. The adventurers are meeting, reviewing their plan, analyzing Vera's combat style. However, the elf goes up claiming that it is the colored girl who was putting that slave on a pedestal. The guy with the bull face also underestimates Vera, but the colored girl says to be careful and proceeds to explain the plan they have and the contingencies they will have in case something seems to go wrong. After this, the teacher, Doan Indian, performs a ritual. The colored girl explains that the guy is capable to see the future, which manages to see the position to which the protagonists they will go. But he was not able to see his own future. Arriving at midnight of the protagonists' advance on their adventure. As soon as they advanced, they could hear the screams of the bandits who had attacked the Bates while they were running. Vera analyzes the way in which she will be able to free herself from the spell and of the princess, but she suspects that Vera has bad intentions, and although he acts well, he mentions that if she dies then he will. Two words that terrify this guy just at that moment are found by one of the bandits, who raises the alarm assumption. Then in the property of the order to see to finish them off, but remember the farewell he had with mentioning meeting in the planned place. Back to the present, Vera has defeated all the bandits that were attacking them. While they keep running, Vera keep thinking about his life, which is now linked to the debt, in that another group of bandits willing to attack the protagonists appears. Elda asks Vera to attack and mocks him. He will see if he launches the attack, eliminating the threats which turned out to be a decoy for him. He left Elda unprotected so that the leader of the bandits could attack her. The protagonist tries to arrive on time, however, he is far away, thinking that his time to die has come. At that moment, the bandits are about to reach Elda. Elda pulls out her sword and his shield and very elegantly kills the bandits, leaving Vera impressed, who was unaware of her abilities, but Elda appears somewhat frightened, remembering the words of the general who trained her, who told her that fear would lead her to death and that there will be times when she will not be able to depend on Vera, and as he asked her to do a cut for him to get used to back to the present, they both run while having a strange conversation. At that moment, they are intercepted by the adventurers who were in the Colosseum, but it is considered strange that they were waiting for them, but in that the guy with the face of bulls he launches to attack, being alarmed by the colored girl because of her low guard, but he ignores her. Elda sends Vera to attack. The type of face of the bull underestimates Vera, claiming that he will kill them both, are face to face to attack, but it is Vera who manages to connect a powerful blow to the face of your opponent. Blow that leaves the subject out of place, and without being able to react, C jumps and connects a strong kick to the head, knocking him down and leaving him unconscious. C analyzes the 4 subjects who have launched to attack him. The elf throws 2 arrows at him, which he will see succeeds dodge without problems, although the elf launches a 3rd arrow that is blocked by the protagonist without problems. The Indian manages to analyze the abilities of the protagonist, and when he is about to attack, he is taken by the leg of the bull-faced subject, although in vain, because he receives a kick to the face. The laser makes Vera react, but the colored girl manages to pass it and goes to attack Elda, seeing another arrow from the elf block and dodges the Indian's attack, in that the colored girl kicks Elda kick that she blocks with her shield, and when he tries to attack her, she dodges it very quickly. While being face to face, the colored girl kindly asks Elda for the treasures, although she proudly refuses, starting an imminent fight between the 2 girls. In the distance, the old adventurer is flanking the protagonist. However, remember that she could not shoot him. The colored girl told her that the shot could attract the attention of other bandits, besides if it failed, it could be dangerous for him. The protagonist continues to fight against the Indian and the elf, keeping at bay with them. In a moment of distraction, the Indian launches an attack which is deflected by Vera by very little, although the blow manages to balance him, and the Indian takes the opportunity to attack with his axe. Making use of his skills and experience, he manages to calm down and block the attack of the axe, to then hold the Indian and use him with a shield that he would later use to avoid the arrow that the elf launched at him. The fight between the elf and El Indio against Vera puts both parties in a difficult situation in order for her to win. Meanwhile, the colored girl is overconfident and is distracted by the opportunity that Elda takes advantage of to launch an attack that is narrowly dodged by the black girl. Color, she annoys the girl for having been careless, and she is surprised that she does not care about her assistant. However, he insults the adventurers and flatters Vera, saying that he would not be defeated by bandits of second, words that make the girl of color annoy Color, launching the combat again, but now with more fury. The guy with the glasses is a healing magic user, and he starts to heal the bullface guy by informing him of the situation of the battle, causing the bull.
They throwing these mugs, ain't they? So far, good fight, man. We holding our own. We holding our own.
Color, launching the combat again, but now with more fury. The guy with the glasses is a healing magic user, and he starts to heal the bullface guy by informing him of the situation of the battle, causing the bullface to ask him to replace it in 3 minutes. On the roof, the old sniper manages to see how the other bandits are approaching the area in the Battle of Vera. This one is thinking of a plan to put the balance in his favor, and after considering it, he charges a strong attack on this guy and then attacks the elf with his chain in the very style of Kratos' way of attacking Vera, causes his 2 opponents to be almost against the wall. However, the sniper is determined to launch a shot in Elda's fight. She manages to hit a cut in the face, mentally flattering her opponent. After receiving the cut, the girl of color decides to fight seriously, charging a strong kick that is blocked by Elda. Without, however, you manage to unbalance her, and when she wants to counterattack, the colored girl launches another blow that this time she dodges. Almost so, this colored girl kicks Elda's leg, taking the surprise that she was covered by a body shield, and he is about to launch another cut, having his opponent very close and with his guard very low, but they are stopped by the sound of a shot. On Vera's side, he has been shot in the chest while the elf is collapsing. The Indian yells at him to finish him off. While you can see the relieved look of the colored girl, you can also see the terrified face of Elda, who after what happened shouts the name of his assistant Vera until he collapses, and the Indian is about to finish him off. However, Vera manages to react by accepting a strong blow under the Indian's jaw, knocking him out instantly, grabbing the sniper who was on the roofs. Without wasting time, Vera throws herself at the elf at high speed,
Rocked his shit, did he? or rocked his stuff, did he? Woo!
He collapses and the Indian is about to finish him off. However, Vera manages to react by
Ah!
accepting a strong
Ah!
blow under the Indian's jaw, knocking him out instantly, grabbing the sniper who was on the roofs. Without wasting time, Vera throws herself at the elf at high speed, preventing her from shooting her arrows and giving her a strong kick to the waist that sends her flying, crashing against a wall. Elda feels a little relieved for her companion's victory. However, she is severely uncomfortable due to a powerful kick to her leg from the colored girl, who is breaking her body shield. The colored girl, knowing that she has no more time, insists that the one who gives her the treasure see exalts Elda for having endured the fight, but this is interrupted by a shot from the sniper. Elda orders her to go and eliminate the sniper since she was not her target. She launches to attack the old sniper and the colored girl praises the analytical capacity of the girl for having analyzed all this roll, hitting her leg again and again, causing great pain in her and rage in turn. The sniper continues shooting at Vera, but he protects himself with his chains in a shot at Vera's leg with the intention of making him fall, but he manages to continue terrifying the sniper who tries to escape despite using his chains, and from the spear that his sword had, he manages to swing up to the sniper, attacking him with his other chain, destroying the building. The old man manages to dodge it and the rubble of the battle, but they are entertained by a hooded guy who kills them for a few moments and then disappears. So the colored girl continues to attack Elda's legs, who can no longer move because of the pain in her legs, her attacks being useless. The colored girl decides to end the fight and launches another attack which Elda does not dodge or block as part of her strategy, receiving a series of blows and kicks. The last kick she received made her unconscious, so the colored girl takes the opportunity to continue hitting Elda on the ground, taking advantage of the fact that she is unmobile. She tries to steal her shield. The fight between Vera and Elda sniper continues to the point where Vera manages to cut off her opponent's leg. Despite writhing in pain, the sniper accepts his fate, asking to be killed, but the protagonist walks away, sparing his life. Back with Elda, you are reluctant not to give up the shield. Then, seeing that time is running out, the Indian throws an axe at the colored girl so that she cuts off his arm. Although this attitude sees a lot when doing so, and when he is about to do it by surprise, Elda launches an attack, but before the hooded guy arrives who cuts off the colored girl's arm, apparently a servant of the princess, he tries to give her the coup de grace. The other adventurers launch themselves on the hooded. This bull-faced guy sends the hooded subject, however, he takes it off, crashing him to the ground. The other adventurers take the colored girl, fleeing the place. The masked man helps the princess and asks her to accompany him, and then she will know who she is. In that, Vera returns to the place of the battle and to see that the adventurers are fleeing, and they meet with Lelda and the hooded guy, but the hooded man, seeing that he arrives at the protagonist, rushes at him with the intention of killing him, being the attack blocked by the latter. In the masked man manages to cross the blockade of the protagonist, reach his chest and make a cut in the chains that he had his armor on his body. Being this is the one that saved him from the shot, Vera asks him about the subject, and Elda manages to discover that it was a soldier sent by one of her brothers, who mentions that he is slightly surprised and mentions that he is following his orders, launching an attack against the main character again, which he dodges and launches 2 blows that are blocked by the hooded man. He flatters him and connects a blow to the protagonist and then launches an attack with the sword that Vera manages to dodge. Although seeing dodges and blocking the attacks of the hooded man, the situation becomes difficult for him because the hooded man cuts Vera's chains. Having the vanquished, the subject is about to deliver the coup de grace to Vera, but in that the princess attacks the man. However, this he manages to dodge it, and both balls prepare for battle, in which a girl jumps over the roofs of the houses, and when she finds the protagonists, a horn sounds that attracts all the bandits who were behind this girl's treasures. Seeing themselves surrounded by the hooded men, they attack and see that they ask the princess to take the blow. The blow that she blocked with the shield sends her to fly, but Vera uses the princess's body in the air and sneaks under it and connects a blow to the hooded man's face, but this takes his arm and tries to cut it, but a shot of ice suddenly stops the combat. A man arrives with his soldiers, riding the man turned out to be the princess's older brother. Astonishing these 3 guys who were fighting, the older brother brought with him a case pistol for ice. With his presence, he causes all those present to flee. The older prince gives the order to finish off all the bandits because they were desecrating his territory. The sorcerers and the prince's men eliminate the bandits, and the prince orders the hooded man to reveal his identity. However, not wanting to fail in his mission, he decides to flee. The prince, worried about seeing the condition his sister was in, forgets the rules and tries to help her. She asks him to leave or he will be punished. So he accepts and gives his horse to Vera and her sister so they can leave. There, while another horde of bandits approach the older prince and his sister say goodbye while he tells her to find the treasure and that being queen then they will be able to see each other again. Through tears she and her brother walk away while her brother exclaims that he will wait for the day after their reunion. You will see in a lot of calm. They regret not having seen how they beat Elda. Elda asks what he was thinking, but let's see, he just dodges the question with a misplaced comment. Arriving at the exit of the kingdom, Elda collapses due to exhaustion. To go support her, but she only makes fun of the bruises and her swollen face. She tells her to see here when riding a horse makes her lose the strength of the magical contract, so they will go on foot. Vera tries to get out more information. Failing in the act, the protagonists arrive at the wall where Elda's younger brother and her former maid are scared by the injuries she has on her face. Vera asks them to hand over the horse to the prince and they are cared for by the healer who accompanied them. In addition to being given provisions and new clothes, he asks her to see who cares for his sister, causing some anger in him because he still dislikes her. After healing and changing the protagonists, they say goodbye to Elda's younger brother and her maid who tearfully say goodbye to her, thus beginning the journey of the protagonists who go out to look for the treasure of the air. Gods.
There you have it. There you have it, man. That's the episode. Tell me guys what you think, and if you want a part 2, we can try to find it and react to that part 2. So far, so good. We had that action. They made it out. Not sure how I feel. It's okay. I don't want to say it's bad because this is just a start of the manhwa. I would give it another watch. I definitely would. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I'll see y'all in the next video. This is Dragon, and I'm out.